Welcome back to another episode of Strip Club Talk with Jade and Danny. Jade, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Danny?
Good, good. We have a lot of fun on this show. We talk about a lot of lighthearted subjects, but today we're going to change the pace a little bit. We're going to get into a serious topic, and we're going to talk a little bit about human trafficking and sex trafficking, and mostly in how it pertains to our adult club industry. Does that sound like something we can talk about today?
Most definitely. I'm very excited to share the knowledge, especially that you have.
Yeah, I got a little bit. I've got a little bit.
I was thinking we could, like we talked about, switch things up a little bit, and I have a few questions for you.
Okay, okay, I'm ready for you. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Danny, can you talk to us a little bit about how you do know so much about human trafficking?
Yeah, human trafficking and sex trafficking. I've gone to a couple of Coast seminars. Coast is Club Operators Against Sex Trafficking, and it is an organization that's put on together with the assistance of a division of Homeland Security, because Homeland Security they really they want to see us get involved and do things on our end to help prevent sex trafficking because it can happen. It
Mhm.
does happen a little bit in our strip club industry. So Homeland Security got together with Coast and they put on these panels, and I have gone to three of these panels. And
Wow.
not only that, I have also done a YouTube channel. That I have my YouTube channel. I did a show on sex trafficking and human trafficking as it pertains to strip clubs there as well, and I'll put that link in the comments section of this show. So it's something that in when you leave a Coast seminar, they always tell you, please go back, take the things you've learned and share them with your coworkers. Share them with your owners, your managers, your entertainers, your other coworkers, floormen, because the more knowledge we can get out to people, the more we can prevent this
Mhm.
horrific thing from actually happening in our clubs.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm glad that I actually got the chance to view that particular video.
Oh,
And it
good.
was a great video, and I literally had no idea about this whole Coast organization until that. My next question would be how does human trafficking affect our adult club industry?
Well, the human trafficking side is mostly the sex trafficking, but I do want to be really clear. This is a strip club show, so I'm going to talk mostly about how it affects our industry, but it affects a lot of industries. The construction industry has a
Hmm.
big problem. The hotel industry has a huge problem. The
Hmm.
cosmetology industry, which you're in the hair industry, I know
Yes,
there's
yes.
issues there. Sporting events are one of the biggest ones. Like if you have a Super Bowl coming to your town or a national championship or any major sporting event, Homeland Security's following those around and watching chat boards and everything. So it
Wow.
happens in a lot of areas. I'm not an expert on those. I couldn't tell you much about how to keep it out of it. So I want to be really clear by saying that just because I'm talking about how it affects our industry, that's just because it's the only part of it I know. It's in a lot of industries. I don't want somebody to say, well, this guy said, it affects the strip club industry. It does, but, it
Okay.
affects a lot of industries. But that's really, it affects our industry in the fact of sex trafficking and the fact that there can be pimps. That
Right,
come into
right.
our club, they can possibly work for us. They can be customers, and I use the word pimp loosely because there is a big difference between sex trafficking and prostitution. Prostitution is kind of doing it somewhat willingly, and
Hmm.
sex trafficking is being forced to have sex with somebody you
Hmm.
don't want to have sex with, but you
Right,
have to
right.
do it for different reasons. So a
Hmm.
lot of it is that sometimes these people, these traffickers, they get your people addicted to heroin or drugs, and then they feed your addiction. Sometimes they find out you have a child, and they hold that child hostage over you, so you have to do what they say. So
Hmm.
that's kind of some of the things that these bad people are doing.
It's just so
So
sad.
it's sad. It really is. It's sad.
And do you know what are some of these misconceptions, I'm sorry, about sex trafficking?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and I even say me in particular, because before I knew anything about this, when I heard sex trafficking and strip clubs, I had the wrong conception of it. I think
Mm-hmm.
most people feel that number one, the biggest misconception is that the owners and the operators know what's going on and they are involved in it. And I have worked not many strip clubs, but I've worked a lot. And I can promise you, I know a lot of owners. I don't know any owners or operators that are actually a part of it. It's just a lot of times that you don't know what to look for. So, yeah, another big misconception is that all sex traffickers are male, and boy, that's the furthest from the truth.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your trafficker could be an owner or a manager, but more than likely, it's a customer that comes in. It's a boyfriend. I use the boyfriend in quotes. Somebody who claims to be boyfriend of an entertainer, and it can be another entertainer. Traffickers can be female. There was a situation, and I'm going to be very careful how I word this because I don't have all of the facts, so I'm not going to name any names. But there was a club about 4 or 5 years ago that had a girl that was working in there that was only 14 years old. She looked older, but she was 14 years old, and she was a runaway. And she met up with a girl who was an entertainer at one of these clubs, and this girl said, I can help you. I can get you working. I can get you making money, but you have to help me and do me some favors too, meaning I'm going to traffic you. So
Right.
this 14-year-old girl who's on the streets and nothing to live for said, okay. This entertainer went to her boss and somehow got around the paperwork of not looking for this girl's ID. This girl was working at 14 years old in a strip club. They got raided. The owner had no knowledge of it. Now, granted, they screwed up on the paperwork because you should really dot your I's and cross your T's when you're double checking. I don't know how they got around the license part. I don't know if the club was involved or not, but these are the kinds of things that can happen. Entertainers um, can be your traffickers as well.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, that's so unfortunate, but you're right. I mean, if anything, in those situations, I mean, who do women trust most? Other women.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but like I said, in general, for a broad spectrum, most women trust other women over man. So I can definitely see how that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, with that, what would you say are some red flags that we should look out for?
Things you should look out for. Number one, from a club standpoint, is obviously you're going to ask for the ID of your applicant if somebody's coming to apply to be an entertainer. So the biggest thing is I ask them for their ID. If you're being trafficked, a lot of traffickers will not let you carry your own ID. So if somebody says, I have to go get my ID from my friend who's out in the room, or sometimes, like I know our club, they won't let you bring your friend back during an interview or an audition, but some clubs they do. They let you bring your friend. That friend could be a trafficker, and you know she says, well. She's carrying my ID because I didn't bring my purse in, so you know that's why she's got it. That can be a sign. And when I give you these red flags and these signs, there's reasons around that why it could be a justifiable reason. It could be the fact that she loses her purse all the time, so she
Right.
has her friend carry her ID. So anytime I say these are red flags, I'm saying these are just things to watch out for, but it's not a definite thing to look out for. People that don't control their own money. If you have an entertainer who say, well, most clubs don't allow a boyfriend to be in the room, but some do as a customer. Sometimes you've got that loose definition of what a boyfriend is. It could be a good friend. How, you know, what do you define a boyfriend? So if the person can't carry their own money and they have to keep going over and handing it to a friend who's sitting down, that could be somebody controlling their money. They have no money left over because this person is taking it all. Again, the person could be very irresponsible with their money, but that is another sign to always look out for if a person doesn't control their own money. Here's one that's really interesting, and that is tattoos. If you have a few girls that all say they get hired at the same time or whatever, or even if they don't, if you have entertainers that have matching tattoos, that actually could be a sign of branding. Uh,
Okay.
Again, three girlfriends, they're all best buds, and they want to get the same tattoo to match
Mhm.
that. There's a possibility of that too. So that's why I want to be really careful when I say these red flags, that there could be reasons for these too. Uh,
Right.
let's see. I
So
know I
not
have
always, but it's
right,
possible.
right. I Here's one. If you have an employee, more than likely an entertainer, but it could be any employee that works for your adult business, and they're always looking for that person who is troubled, or somebody who seems to have a lot of issues, and they all of a sudden have to go up and friend this person, and they're like, want to be the, I want to save you, I want to save you. Now this could be actually a genuine person who really wants to
Mhm.
save them, but it also could be somebody who's saying, oh, you don't have a place to stay, you come stay with me, and this and that, and then that could turn into a recruiting or a trafficking type situation as well.
Gotcha.
And again, it could be somebody that's just very nice and wants to be helpful. So
Yeah.
these are some of the signs you want to look for. I know I got one more if I'm looking. Two more. One obviously is bruises. If you see somebody come in with a lot of bruises, I mean that's a sign of it right there, or a domestic situation. So watch
Gotcha.
out for that. But another group that can really watch and help you out are your floormen and your lot security. If you have a
Mhm.
designated lot security, or most all good clubs will have somebody walk you to your car. Have that lot security. Look at the communication between the entertainer that's getting in the car and the person that she's getting in the car with. She says,
Mhm.
it's my boyfriend. But they get in the car, and you can always tell the body English. Do they
Oh yeah.
really look like their boyfriend, girlfriend? Or I mean, yeah, they could be in the middle of a lousy relationship too, so that could be the other side of it. But those are some of the red flags that you want to look for, and if you
Okay.
get some of those together, think about what it could possibly be. But it's things to
Right.
look out for.
Okay. And then aside from those obvious red flags, are there any other reasons that we should be concerned about trafficking in our clubs?
Yeah, in the clubs in general, we have to be careful. There are, aside from not wanting sex trafficking to be in our club, there are people that use the fact that there's a possibility that it can be going on against us. In the state of Texas and the state of Georgia, they have additional taxes on strip clubs. In Texas, it's called a poll tax. I
Hmm.
believe it is a $5 on top of the door charge that every patron has to pay. And they got this to pass because they are using this $5 poll tax to work toward preventing sex trafficking, which I'm glad that they are raising more money. I'm all for helping raise money, but to do it as a poll tax on strip clubs. And in Atlanta right now, or not in Atlanta, in Georgia right now, it's up in front of their Supreme Court. This 1% tax that's going for the same thing, and it makes it look like we are all guilty. And it's like I say, Super Bowls have this issue with sex trafficking,
Right.
but I'm not seeing a tax put on Super Bowl tickets. Um,
Hmm.
Again, well, you are also in the hair business, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. You do hair, and a lot of times, to have your cosmetology license, you have to attend some of these
Hmm.
things as well. So,
Yes.
what have you seen in the hair industry? What do you have to go through to be a licensed cosmetologist in, well, you're in the state of Ohio, but in
Right.
anywhere really?
Yeah, so every 2 years when we're doing our continuing education, just for our license in general, that has been added within the last, I believe, 5 to 6 years, is human trafficking continue education, human and sex trafficking. And kind of like you said, a few of those red flags would be if women are coming in to get their hair done, and they're always being escorted by another person
Hmm.
that can't leave their side, or even especially if they're coming in and they have like a covering over their head aside from like a cultural thing.
Hmm.
Um, and like there are certain rules to how they're getting their hair done aside from just like a boyfriend's preference or something like that. Like the ID thing that you said. So a lot of those are the same education that we're getting across the board. And even like aside from the hair industry, even when I'd work in clubs like in Vegas, when you close the bathroom door and you go to the restroom, there's a flyer right up on the back of the door that says a lot of the same things that you've gone over today. Even, I mean, if you think about it, everybody in the airport now, almost every airport you go to has some sort of flyer on the back of the door talking about what things to look for and what to do in that situation if you maybe suspect something. And that kind of ties into, I don't know if you're ready for my last question.
Sure.
But my last question would be, what would someone do if they're noticing some of these red flags?
Well, like you said, there's the flyer that has the yeah, almost all clubs have these flyers up. They're put out by the let's see if I can find it. The National, I've got it written down over here. The National Human Trafficking Hotline flyer. If you're in a club and they don't have it, you can get these, and I don't even think they cost you anything. You just have them sent to you. But basically, there's a number on there, and it's 1-888-38. Let's see, hold on. 1-888-383-7888. And this, I think I've heard that they have people that speak over 200 languages. So if there's a language barrier, which is one of the biggest problems with trying to report sex trafficking, is the language barrier with people who come in from other countries. So they speak 200 languages. They're run 24/7, and they are not tied to law enforcement. So it's an organization, and like I say, every club that I've been to, I make sure that they've got these flyers up. Every club that I work at, and every club I work at, I make sure that they are educated on the things that I've just told you. I actually make sure that they all watch my the video that I'm going to leave a link to.
That's great.
So I think one of the big things, if you suspect it, don't get involved too much yourself, because you can, I mean, these some of these organizations can be very dangerous people. Don't try to solve it yourself. You can call this sex trafficking hotline and you can say, listen, I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is going on, but let me tell you a story. And, if it makes you feel better, use a hypothetical situation. I hypothetically work with this girl and she's doing this, and would that be something that would be cause for concern? And see what they say, because they're the trained counselors. I'm not. The other thing, entertainers, as you brought up earlier, girls trust girls more. And the reason we need more entertainers educated in this is because if a girl is having a problem, she's going to come to you before she's going to come to me, or to her manager, or to her owner, or realistically to anybody male. My phone, my door is always open. If anybody does want to come talk to me about it, I can help. But again, I understand that it's something that and aside from even in the dressing room, they may not talk to you about it, but you may overhear things.
Right.
So you may overhear that conversation. So those are the things that, if you see something, I hate to do that whole cliche thing. If you see something, say something. But it is true. And those are,
and then like you said, sorry. And like you said,
ahead.
with that hotline, the good thing is you can remain anonymous, right? So then you don't have to feel, like your name is going to be thrown out there. And you won't feel like you're in any sort of danger just for trying to help.
Right. Yeah. Just be careful if you suspect something. And again, realize that a lot of these red flags could be something easy, but they're things to watch out for. And they're things especially for you to notice, but things for the entertainers to be educated about so they don't fall into these traps and able to get called in. I say you want to be you don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. So educate yourself as much as you can on any of this.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Anything I missed in there?
I think that you really covered it today, and thank you so much. And if I would say, if anybody has any kind of red flags or any information that we might not have covered, maybe comment that down below.
Okay, yeah, comment back down there, or if you want a private message us, you can do that. I'm on Facebook. Everything of mine is at DJ Danny Myers. You can also comment on Jade's YouTube channel and my YouTube channel as well. But so I hope you guys are okay with the fact that we went on a little more serious subject. We won't stay this serious all the time, but it's just something that I felt that we needed to talk about. And I'm glad that for those of you who are still listening, that you listened to the end. So on behalf of Jade and I, we thank you so much for doing that. We'll get the topics a little on the lighter side and more fun sides in the future. Follow, like, share, click, and all that stuff that's going on down there below.
Down
Jade,
there.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny.